On August 21st, 2010, NASCAR's Kyle Busch becomes the first driver to ever sweep a week at all three levels of NASCAR competition, winning the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Craftsman Truck Series all in the same week at the Bristol Motor Speedway, which has become known as the Bristol Sweep. Here's the history behind here's how it all happened today on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a rapid deep dive into sports history every day. Today's trivia question is, why wasn't Kyle Busch able to race in the NASCAR Cup Series until he was 18? Now, Kyle Busch is one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time, with over 63 wins at the Cup Series and 378 top 10 finishes. And at the Xfinity Series, he has 102 wins with 267 top 10 finishes. And in the Craftsman Truck Series, he has 66 wins and 141 top 10 finishes. And he started out, as many drivers do, racing go-karts as a child and quickly rose through the ranks. And actually at the age of 16, he began to race in the NASCAR Craftsman Series. Now, if you don't know, there are three levels of NASCAR. There is the NASCAR Cup Series, which is what you're probably accustomed with. It's got Daytona, Talladega, the Brickyard, the big major races you see normally on Sunday afternoon. But they also have the Xfinity Series, which is kind of a second-tier level to the Cup Series, kind of a minor league system for drivers to work their way up to the Cup Series. And it's gone by many names. It's gone by the Budweiser Model Sportsman Series, the Grand National Series, the Busch Series, the Nationwide Series, and since 2015, it's been the Xfinity Series. And then there's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. It started in 1995 and has been known as the Super Truck Series, the Craftsman Series, the Camping World Truck Series, the Gander Outdoors Truck Series, and now again is known as the Craftsman Truck Series. Now this one's a little bit different, as both NASCAR Cup and Xfinity Series are stock cars, and this is a stock truck, which means it has that truck look, although you wouldn't want to use these trucks to move anything because they don't have a whole lot of space in their bed. But it is a different kind of racing, and it is what really drew Kyle Busch. Kyle is a guy that just loves to race. At age 16, he started to compete in the NASCAR Craftsman Series for Roush Racing. And he was actually limited from being in the NASCAR Series, as at the time they were sponsored by Marlboro cigarettes, and you had to be at least 18. But at the age of 19, he finally made his NASCAR debut. And he was a guy that just loved to race. He worked his way up, but he loved the Truck Series. He worked his way into the Xfinity Series. And once he got to NASCAR, he stayed there, but he just continued to want to race. And the way these races work usually is wherever the NASCAR Cup Series is going, before that race, they'll have the truck race and the Xfinity race before at the same track. So many guys actually do like to race every now and then another one of those races. But Kyle was different. He wanted to race those a lot, and a lot more than other drivers. And this is the reason why he holds the record for the most wins across the three top series. And in 2003, he became one of only 6 drivers to have won both a Cup Series and Xfinity Series. And then in 2010 is when he officially completed the very first sweep, winning at all 3 races in the same week, while at Bristol Motor Speedway. Now, if you don't know Bristol, it is a smaller track, as it is only half a mile oval track. So it's very fast and very quick. And it's actually small enough that they've actually held college football games in the middle of the track. And NASCAR has been running there ever since 1961 and has been a staple in NASCAR ever since. So why did Kyle Busch compete in all 3 series? Well, the simple reason is he loved to race. It really allowed him to stay vigilant, keep racing. It's kind of like practice makes perfect. The more you race, the better you're going to get. And he really enjoyed the series, especially the Truck Series. As he later said, he could take or leave the Xfinity Series, but the Truck Series was a lot of fun for him, as it was a different kind of racing, as trucks are different than cars. But it was also a goal for him to try to win at all 3 races during a week, as it's very difficult because you have to win 3 different races in 3 different cars, as each series has different specifications for the cars. So it all started at the O'Reilly 200 on August 8th at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And this was the first win of the weekend at Bristol. And this was, at the time, part of the Camping World Truck Series, which now is known as the Craftsman Truck Series. Then on Friday, August 20th, he would win the Food City 250 for, at the time, the NASCAR Nationwide Series, which is now known as the Xfinity Series. So he had gone 2 for 2 heading into the big one, the NASCAR Cup Series. And this one wasn't as easy, as he had an ongoing feud with another race car driver at the time, Brad Keselowski. As during this race, he actually intentionally wrecked Keselowski late in the race and actually openly mocked him by making a crying baby face. And Brad would go on to call Kyle Busch a jerk later that same day. And on lap 161, Kyle Busch would emerge into first place, passing Jimmy Johnson, and he continued to grow his lead lap after lap. And after he crossed the finish line, he would celebrate with a broom, saying he had swept the entire event, saying this was something he had been fighting to do ever since he had been in NASCAR. He wanted to prove that he was the best at all 3 levels. And Bristol seemed to be his lucky charm, as in 2017, he did the same thing, winning all 3 races in one weekend. And despite being 39 and having all the success he's had, as he's a 2-time NASCAR Cup champion, and he won the Xfinity Series in 2009, and he's a 7-time Truck Series winner, and a 2-time ESPY Best Driver of the Year winner, he continues to race to this day. Although it's a little less, as NASCAR later added a rule limiting Cup Series drivers from participating in as many Xfinity and Truck Series, as they want to use that more as a minor league system to grow drivers. They don't want the name brand drivers they have, like Kyle Busch, to continue to go down and dominate that series, as he's the most winning driver in the Xfinity and Truck Series. And so they want to have other drivers have that opportunity, and they're just limiting the amounts they can do those races, so he doesn't have the chance to win the Cup Series at each of those smaller stages. That doesn't mean he couldn't still do the sweep, as he can plan out which races he does throughout the year, but it does make it more of a challenge. And they call it the Kyle Busch rule, but it doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon, as he just seems like a guy that loves to race all the time. And I want to thank you for listening to today's Daily Sports History. If you like this, please subscribe wherever you're listening, so that way you don't miss a single episode. And come back tomorrow for more Daily Sports History. The answer to today's trivia question of why wasn't Kyle Busch able to race at the NASCAR Cup Series until he was 18 was because at the time they were sponsored by Marlboro, who was a cigarette company, and you couldn't race for a cigarette company until you were 18, just like you couldn't smoke until you were 18 as well.